Hey guys, this is Viper with another video review. And before I begin this review, today is September 11th, 2011. And I would just like to say that the sacrifices of the people of that day have not been forgotten. The lives lost have not been forgotten. And that I hope God will continue to bless our police officers, our firefighters, our EMTs, the victims and their families, our servicemen and women overseas, and God bless America. And it's that type of a spirit that kind of, at the last minute, kind of spurred me to do this video. I've been sitting on this figure for months now, actually probably almost a year by now, and I always wanted to do it, but I always ended up getting sidetracked by something else. But I was looking at my collection today, and when I saw this, I said to myself, I think this pretty much, you want to talk about the spirit of America, nothing can be embodied better than in General George Washington. Now, this is the Sideshow exclusive version that came out a while ago. And this actually is the only figure that I have from Sideshow itself, not like a hot toy or something like that. And it's actually pretty nice. I mean, it's not, 100% accurate or, it's not the kind of quality that we now come to expect from hot toys or anything like that. But it is pretty good. And of the historical figures I've seen, I think this is the most accurate. The figure actually does not really look like these pictures that I've been showing you on the box. The figure itself actually looks a little better than the figure on the box. But in here we just have a little blurb about Washington. It's quite long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I severely doubt anybody would want to hear that whole thing, and I'm sure most people, even if they're not history buffs like myself, probably know all the major points about George Washington. And then it also says down here, a little lower, it talks about the equipment that George Washington comes with. Anywho, without further ado, let's take a look at the father of our nation. And here we have General Washington out of packaging. I believe they modeled this figure off of his appearance at the Battle of Yorktown, which although I am a big history buff of the colonial era, I'm not as big of a, military uniform buff or anything like that, so I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate. If there's anybody out there who is a history buff who knows that type of stuff, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I really, really like this figure. And as somebody who, ever since he was a young kid in school, has admired this guy, I'm very pleased to have him in my 1/6 scale collection. I actually do have two other historical figures. My two favorite areas of study being the colonial era and of World War II. The other two figures are from the latter era, and let's just say people might find me reviewing them in bad taste. So I'll let you use your imagination as to who they and what they might be. But anyway, let's move on to General Washington. Much more important than those other two figures from the World War II era. And two of the accessories he comes with, you can see right away, are the hat, right here, and this cloak, which I will remove when we do a close-up view of the figure. And it's kind of tough to get it looking proper and looking like it's falling properly, but I mean, it looks okay. It looks pretty good. It definitely gives him the kind of the general look from back in the 1700s. And being the Sideshow exclusive version, what was exclusive about this figure is it actually came with a second sword. This here is the main sword that the figure comes with. He also comes with a sheath that you can attach to a little white holster on the side, but the top is just a little top. It's not an actual full-length sword, which is okay, but, you know, kind of neat. He comes with, zooming in on that might be a pain, but, yeah, I don't think it's going to focus. But it's a little map of Yorktown. He comes with a telescope that extends back and forth like this, so the general can survey the battlefield. And the exclusive item is this sword. It's just an extra sword with a different handle or grip or whatever the proper terminology for that is. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much it for accessories-wise. Rather than having him be far off in the distance in a great cloak and you can't see him, which is probably what most of the soldiers saw in the battlefield when he was in the back on the horse. But let's get a close-up look and see what he looks like. And here we have the good general up close and personal. I really do like the head sculpt. I mean, you could definitely tell it's Washington. Obviously, as somebody who's seen every picture there is of him and whatever else, I could go crazy and nitpick, but honestly, I'm not that kind of a collector. People who find faults with the figures and nitpick them like hell, I mean, that's perfectly fine, and I understand people who, you want to get what you pay for, and it's understandable. But for me, if it's good and not perfect, it works for me, and as far as I'm concerned, I think that sculpt is pretty good. The only flaw that the figure has for me, actually, is just this cuff over here is coming up, and I don't really know how I can get it back down. But the uniform, I think, is very well done. The boots, this is the Life and Drum collection. He has little spurs attached to the boots right down here. And I really, really like the way this looks. I like the detail on the uniform, the stars here on both sides. I think they really did a good job with the detail of the uniform, and it looks really good. The only kind of issue I have with it is in this area here. Whoa. Sorry about that, wrong zoom. If you kind of pull it out a little bit like this, kind of see what I'm talking about. The arms are a little too skinny, and the body's a little too plump. They added kind of like a little, I guess, a pudgy suit underneath, which I guess is understandable because although Washington was famous for having a very good physique, when he was older, obviously like everybody, you kind of lose some of your, I am Arnold Schwarzenegger type. Wow, that was a really bad Schwarzenegger impression. But you kind of lose some of that bodybuilder look. But I think that they went a little too skinny on the arms. I guess they didn't pad them or make them, They look kind of just like good old fashioned regular doll arms, which kind of take away a little bit from it. But other than that, it's overall it's well done. And let's be honest, most people are probably going to display him anyway with the cloak on anyway, I would think. And that about covers it for General George Washington. Excellent figure. I'm really glad I was able to get him in my collection. And it would be awesome if we could see, something like this come from, a company like Hot Toys or something like that. But by the same token, I really like the figure anyway, so it's not a bad figure by any means, and if you're a big fan of history, if you could find one for a decent price, I would highly recommend picking them up. And that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed this video review, and I'll see you next time. And God bless America.